Hi there, I'm Caroline from Joy Revival Design, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make some sea glass jewellery using the art of wire wrapping. I do run a variety of workshops, sea glass jewellery, the wire wrapping, which I'm going to show you now, as well as how to drill sea glass, and that's all on my website, which is www.joyrevivaldesign. And you can subscribe and follow me on my socials as well. So if you've bought one of my kits, which I also sell as well, then you will receive in a lovely pack these items for making roughly 6 pieces of wire wrapped jewellery. So you get 3 tools, you get 3 pairs of surgical stainless steel ear wires, and then you get copper and silver plated wire, and there's enough, as I said, to make about 6, which is, I kind of say 17 inches of wire available per item that you're making, but you might need a little less, but you shouldn't need any more. So I kind of think 17 inches will do you for a large piece of sea glass. See this piece here? Which is, if we measure it, it's roughly 1 inch by 2 inches. But often you're working with smaller pieces than that, because that's quite a heavy piece that's going to be on your neck as a pendant or or on your ears. So what I'm actually going to be demoing with is this size piece here, and that is just over 1 inch tall, and then 3/4 of an inch wide at the widest point. And I'm going to be demoing with some copper wire that you will receive in the kit. It's gauge wise, it's 21 gauge or 0.7 millimeters. So I'm going to move this kit to the side, and then I'm going to set off making our sea glass jewellery. I've chosen a lovely piece of green sea glass that I found locally. I'm just based in Edinburgh, so I go along the East Lothian coast and find lots of lovely pieces of tumbled sea glass. I don't do very much to the sea glass when I get it. I'll give it a nice clean up, let it air dry, and then I give it a bit of an oil, and that brings back the shine. So like I said, this is the kind of size that I work with, or smaller. Here's some little earrings that I've made, and so they're quite tiny, but you don't want big pieces of sea glass, in my opinion, hanging off your ears. So that's those. So for this piece that I showed you and gave you the dimensions for, I'm going to work with 13 inches of wire. So I'm going to lay that out, and of the 3 tools that I've given you, you're going to use the wire cutters, which are these ones here. Okay, and you want to place the wire just in the middle of the cutters, not at the end, because otherwise it won't cut. Give it a gentle squeeze, and then you've got your wire cut. The first stage that we're going to do is we're going to make the bail. So the bail is the bit that the necklace cord or the ear wires will go through. And to do that, we're going to fold the piece of wire in half and make like a giant hairpin. Okay, you'll then, like this, you're then going to take the round nose pliers. So those are these ones here, and they're like 2 cones. So these are what we use to make the bail, but also part of the decoration. And you're going to take the wire and you're going to place it right down to the bottom of one of the cones. I then with my forefinger, the same hand that's holding the pliers, I take one of the ends, one of the tails I like to call them, and I wrap it around that same comb, if you can see that. Okay, you then push those two coils right down to the bottom of one of those combs, and then I take it off, and you can see you've got two coils, looks a bit like a giant end of a safety pin, like this. Okay, you then want to hold that circle and cross one wire over the other as close to that circle as possible, like this. Okay, and then you're going to twist the circle. So I hold it in my hand and I twist it once, twice, 3 times, and that makes a nice tight 3 coils at the top just here. Okay, and that is your bail made. So this is what your necklace cord will go through, or if we look at these earrings that I made, there's like a tiny bail just here. And with the earrings, in fact, I've only made 1 coil, so I've only wrapped it around the round nose pliers once, and I've made it a bit smaller, so I've put the coil halfway down those round nose pliers rather than right to the end. So we've got this, and now we're going to start creating our design. So you want to keep your wires nice and straight as much as possible, and then what you're going to do is you're going to place a piece of sea glass on top of that wire, and you want to leave a little gap between the top of the sea glass and the bottom of that circular bail that you've made. So you can see there's a little gap there. Okay, you then turn it over, so this is the back now that I'm looking at, and we're going to do a couple of loose twists. So I've crossed it over once there, and then one more at the bottom. So they're crossing at the bottom, and this stops the wires splaying out. Okay, so, and then we turn back over, and you can see I've got 2 tails, 2 bits of wire to work with, and we work with one first and then the other. So I'm going to work with the one that's slightly longer first of all, and I'm going to pull it up and I'm going to pull it to the side, and then I'm going to wrap the wire around the back, and you're pulling it quite tight around the glass so it's not too baggy. And then I'm going to come up again, and then I want to wrap round, and if you see the wires coming up to that point where we've left that gap between the top of the glass and the bottom of the bail, and I've got, as you can see, I've got this much wire left to play with, and you want to make sure you've got about 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch of wire left when you get to the top. And then you're going to take your flat nose pliers, and these are the ones, as it says, that are flat on the inside. Okay, and these I call sort of your better fingers. They're more grippy, they give you better grip, so than you trying to use your fingers. And once you get to here, I'm holding at the back the wire right at the top there, you see, so it's not going to move anywhere. And then I'm going to take the pliers, hold them at the end, and I'm going to wrap the wire around that gap that we left. I wrap it round here, and then I want to make sure that the bit that remains is facing forward. So if I was wearing it like this, then this would be on my neck here, and the bit that I've just left hanging is facing away from you, so it's not going to go into your skin and scratch you. So that is the first tail done, and I'll leave any excess there for the moment. We'll cut that off in a wee bit. Then you're going to work with the next tail, and this is where you can think a bit more about your design. Do I want the wire to cross over? Do I want it to go to the other side? And I quite liked that crossover look. So I'm going to bring it round here. And then round the back. Pulling it nice and tight. Thinking about how I want my design to be. And then when I get to the top here, you see I've got a little bit of wire left, and I'm going to pull that in, take those flat nose pliers again and wrap around in that little gap. Okay. And that is the start of your design. You can see it's a little bit baggy maybe here. So I'm going to show you the technique I'm showing you here today is the wave technique. So this is stage 1, and then I'm going to show you how we make the lovely waves in the design to really give it a special, unique look. So to do that and to tighten up any loose bits, you're going to take your round nose pliers again, okay? And I'm going to start on this line here, and where you see it's a wee bit baggy, I'm going to push the baggy section forward to the front, and then I'm going to put my thumb on one end of the line that I'm working on, and then my forefinger on the other piece. So that means that when I'm working on this line, none of the other part of the design is going to move because I'm holding it in place. You then take the round nose pliers and you want to go down at 90 degrees to the wire. So I'm going to go down and you're going to gently give it a squeeze. Just make sure that I'm holding it. So gently grip the wire, and then you're going to twist the pliers like this, and you can see that that's made that really cool wave. And what that is also doing is tightening it up. So now you can see it's a bit less baggy here. And then you can do the same as you go along. So I'm going to do one here, and then I'm going to give it a twist. And as you do it, you want to just be nice and gentle with the wires. You just twist it enough. And then I'll do one on this here. And then one finally on the last. So you've got some, that's given quite a bit more detail to your design and makes it look really lovely. If you still feel it's a little bit baggy, like this. If you still feel it's a bit baggy or a bit loose, the wire, then you can also do that technique on the back, and that also neatens it up. So I'm going to go along at the back. I often do the two together, and that's tightened it up pretty much all the way around. Maybe a little bit more there. Squeeze that in. Okay. So that is almost your pendant finished. So we just need to now neaten up those end bits that are still sticking out and left. And to do that, we take the wire cutters. And you want to get in as close to the bail so there's no ends left, and then give it a snip. And same again. There. And then just to finish it off, I squeeze any bits that are sticking out, squeeze them down with my flat nose pliers. That is your pendant finished. The kit also comes with three hemp cords, so you've got enough to make 3 pendants, and then as you saw earlier, the 3 ear wires. So you get a choice. You can make 3 pendants and 3 ear wires, earrings. And when you're doing the pendants, you'll just need to turn that bail around just so that the cord hangs nicely. And because the wire's lovely and malleable, you'll take the flat nose pliers and give that bail a twist, and then the cord is gonna go through here, and then a lovely unique piece of sea glass jewellery that you've made to wear out and about or give as a lovely gift. So please, if you like, subscribe, check out my website, and you can follow me on socials at joy.revival.design. Hope you have a fantastic day. Take care. Bye bye.